Before the skyscrapers, Chicago was nothing but a smelly, onion-filled swamp called Chicago. French traders paddled these waters, realizing this swamp was the secret door between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi. The Americans built Fort Dearborn here in 1803, isolated, freezing, and surrounded by wilderness. The city began to grow, but it had a fatal flaw. The land was so flat and wet, the mud was legendary. It was a liquid trap. Horses, carriages, and even people would sink waist deep into the streets. They tried covering the mud with wooden planks, but the slime just oozed up through the cracks. Despite the mud, the railroads arrived. Chicago became the funnel for America's grain and cattle. Massive grain elevators rose up, feeding the world and making the city rich overnight. But the sewage had nowhere to go. Disease was rampant. So in 1855, they made an insane decision. They didn't move the city, they decided to lift it. Engineers placed thousands of jacks under the buildings, and they raised Chicago. Entire city blocks, huge brick hotels, lifted 14 feet into the air while people were still inside. Underneath the floating city, they built the modern sewer system that allowed it to survive. The city exploded in size. They built fast using balloon frames, cheap, lightweight wood, too much wood. Summer of 1871 was bone dry. The wooden city was a tinderbox waiting for a spark. October 8th, a small barn on Decoven Street. Legend says a cow kicked over a lantern. It doesn't matter how it started. What matters is that the hay caught fire and the wind was blowing north. The fire became a monster. It jumped streets, devoured neighborhoods, and created its own weather systems. Even the river couldn't stop it. The water was so greasy from pollution, the river itself caught fire. 100,000 people fled for their lives. The sky turned orange and the gem of the prairie burned to ash. By morning, Chicago was gone. 4 square miles of destruction, a blank slate made of charcoal. But Chicago didn't die. The rubble was barely cold before they started building again, this time with stone and steel. Because land was expensive, they couldn't build out, so they built up. In 1885, the Home Insurance Building rose up, the world's first skyscraper supported by a steel skeleton. Suddenly, architecture changed forever. The Chicago School of Design created vertical cliffs of glass and terracotta. 1893, the World's Columbian Exposition. The White City rose from the ashes to show the world that Chicago was back. It was a dreamland of electric lights and massive plaster palaces, introducing the Ferris wheel to the world. But the river was still a problem. It flowed into the lake, polluting the city's drinking water. So engineers did the impossible again. They dug a massive canal and reversed the flow of the Chicago River. They forced nature to back down. The river now flowed away from the lake, sending the sewage down to St. Louis. The 1920s brought the gangsters. Al Capone ruled the streets, and the city became a battleground of Tommy guns and speakeasies. But business boomed. The Merchandise Mart opened, a building so massive it had its own zip code. The Great Depression hit hard, but the city kept working. The Board of Trade building rose like an Art Deco throne. World War II turned Chicago into the factory of the world. Steel mills glowed red, forging the weapons of victory. After the war, the superhighways carved through the neighborhoods. The Dan Ryan Expressway became the busiest road on Earth. The Skyline kept climbing. In 1969, the John Hancock Center used giant X-braces to reach the clouds. Then came the big one, the Sears Tower, a bundle of black steel tubes that became the tallest building in the world. For 25 years, Chicago looked down on the rest of the planet. Millennium Park turned an ugly rail yard into an art gallery. The bean reflected the skyline of a city that refused to fail. Today, the river is clean enough for tours. The architecture is a museum of modern history. From a mud pit to a metropolis, from a fire trap to a city of steel, Chicago proves that if you have enough will, you can lift a city, reverse a river, and touch the sky. This is the city of big shoulders, the heart of America.